Hello, and welcome to another episode of Monday with Marie. So, this Monday, we've got some interesting questions. The first question comes from Armand, and Armand wants to know about silos. So, Armand writes, "Hi, Marie. It's great to see you. My question is around silos. We have a lot of silos within our organization, and I need some help of figuring out how to deal with them." Armand, I love this question. So let's start off by diagnosing first. Most leaders skip straight to trying to fix it without actually understanding what is causing this. What's the root cause of the silos? And silos can be in different forms, Armand. It can be a situation of within one department, there's internal silo, which means like members of that department aren't really speaking to each other. So let's say you have a communications department and one person deals with external communications, another internal communications, another one marketing, and so they don't talk to each other. So that's one form of a silo, which is more of an interpersonal silo. And then there is the interdepartmental silo, which is different departments aren't speaking to each other. For example, communications may not be speaking to sales, and sales may not be speaking to ops. So you get the point that there's silos within. We've got to first identify what's going on with the silos. And the best recommendation I have for you to be able to identify this is to really start with some questions. So think about it this way. Is there a process problem? So something unclear, something that's hands off, something that might have some competing priorities. So you'll need to discover if it's a process problem. The other thing you'll need to discover is it a people problem? Is there a lack of trust? Is there a little bit of territorial behavior going on between people that's creating this silo? Or is it a purpose problem? Do teams don't see how their goals are connected to others? This is a big one. And I will tell you, most times in my experience, I found that silos are created by the purpose problem, right? That groups of people don't recognize what they're doing could be affecting another department or that their goals are very similar. This happens all the time. So I love to try to figure out what's the trigger of the silo. Next, once you've kind of figured out, Armand, what's the trigger here, the next step is to create shared wins. Getting siloed teams to co-own a short-term project or share metrics. So, for example, sales and marketing, jointly owning a lead to close conversation or, focusing on a collaboration that has a visible payoff is very helpful because now they're going to be focused on how do we create that shared win so that they start to begin to see the importance of working together. The other thing that I have done with groups is have them shadow each other or swap lives for a period of time. This is a great way for people to begin to understand exactly what other departments do. It gets them an opportunity to listen, and then they share their experience with their team members. So that way it becomes a quick reveal. It builds empathy really quickly, and it helps them really begin to understand what's going on within those departments, right? Or within a department if it's a more of an interpersonal issue with the departments. Well, it's Monday morning, it's hard to talk. The next thing is we have to rewrite the narrative. You have to begin to ask each group to describe what they think the other department does or the other person does. And then if the stories don't match, you begin to see some cultural clues. And that's a quick way to get people to realign, to learn more about each other, to begin to have some really rich conversations around what it is that they do. And I would recommend that with that, you're helping them really begin to understand not only themselves, but the story that their department is telling others. And the final one the point 5, I would host about a 45-minute bridging the gap conversation. And this allows for a really nice way to begin these really deep conversations to allow people to share their experience. And then that way you can begin to fix the silos. Now, Armand, if you're not in a position to really implement these things, I would recommend reaching out to someone like us, a boutique firm, where we can actually help you do this, or even go beyond this, because I've given you some 5 quick fixes, but there's some deeper fixes to disbanding silos. If you feel like you can do this on your own, begin with those 5 fixes and then reach out to me, and I'm glad to help and support in terms of giving you some next steps. I hope that was helpful, Armand. All right, let's go to our next question. Our next question comes from C. Okay, hey C. How do I get honest feedback from my team without scaring them into silence? Okay. So what you're really talking about here is providing psychological safety. And I will say that this is an interesting question because it's revealing in and of itself, see. Have you been doing some things that have created a situation where you're noticing your team's not comfortable giving you feedback? Do you, and this is where you have to honestly reflect, do you create a psychologically safe environment for people to really honestly give you real feedback and not just say everything is great? Are you asking curious-based questions? So we have a phrase that we've coined here that I use all the time, which is, I want to have curious conversations. And we've built a whole program around curious conversations. And the idea of curious conversations is that where you actually have genuine curiosity for the other person or the other group that you're speaking to. And it is a model that involves a little bit more detail than what I'm giving you right now. But the point here is that, are you engaging in those curious-based questions where you have real curiosity about what people think and what they do? And are they seeing that there's not repercussions from you? So if someone gives you feedback that, might be considered a little bit critical, are they seeing that you're taking that critical feedback and you're really considering it and you're doing something with it? And that's really important. And then another thing that I would consider is really having a meeting redesign. Redesign how you are meeting with your team, because there's something in there that's preventing them from being honest with you. The fact that you're asking the question means that, one, you truly do care about getting real feedback from them, but 2, something inside of you recognizes that they are not comfortable, that they are not feeling safe to really give you real feedback, and they're staying in that silence. I hope that helps. See, if you've got more questions, please reach out. Okay, our next question is, how do I balance transparency and confidence when I don't have all the answers? And this question comes from Joe. Joe, great leaders struggle with uncertainty. And it's important that you model vulnerability. And while you're modeling vulnerability, that you recognize that modeling that doesn't mean that you're going to lose authority. What does that mean? Well, one, you need to become comfortable with not knowing the answers. And one of the ways that I used to do that and still do that is that I'm really honest with people, that I hire people that are smarter than I am. That's really what I do. I don't hire people that are not smarter than me. The people that I work with, all of them are smarter than I am. Why? Because I want the best people working on projects and on jobs for me. And I don't need to be the smartest person in the room. If I'm the leader, I kind of don't want to be the smartest person in the room, because then I'm not getting really fresh, new, innovative ideas. So it's really important to, one, present yourself as a leader that wants to hear all voices, wants to be able to recognize that My confidence in knowing what I know and knowing what my skills are doesn't mean that my ego steps in the way of, and says, I have to know everything. If anything, I have to be able to say to my teammates, it's okay that I don't know everything. It's okay that I am ignorant of something. The opportunity there is to learn, and it's to learn from my team. And that's why you need to address it with that transparency of saying, look, let's all be honest, but also with the confidence of recognizing that the skills that you do have are equally important. I think a lot of times we hear, from leadership, thought leaders, leadership guides that, oh, hire smart and make sure you're the dumbest person in the room. That's not what that means. I'm not the dumbest person in the room. And what it really means is part of vulnerability is to also acknowledge where your strengths are and know what your strengths are and be confident with your strengths, but equally confident with the fact that you're not going to know everything and that there are things that your team is going to know, and your job is to listen and learn constantly. If you walk into every situation with a learner's mindset, meaning I know the things I know, I don't know the things I don't know, and I'm open to the opportunity to learn new things, you walk in by maintaining your authority, and also you're modeling that vulnerability, to say the vulnerability of knowledge, saying that I don't have all the knowledge, but you walk in with confidence on the knowledge you do have. And so that's how I would answer balancing it. All right, question 3. How do I keep our meetings from turning into an update session instead of decision session? So this plays right into our murder by meeting. This question comes from Hope. Hope, we have a murder by meeting program that we do that really teaches people how to turn their meetings into productive decision-making sessions. But I am going to give you something that Jeff Crane, the amazing Jeff Crane, gave me, and that I use, and we use in murder by meeting, which is damn. Every meeting should end with damn. What's the decision? What's the action? And what's the message? If you make sure that you start your meetings with an outcome, we will leave this meeting with the following outcome, and you make sure that you leave time for the damn, that there's an action that has been discussed and that you're going to be taken, that decisions happen in your meetings, and that there's a clear message for those who weren't in the meeting, what is going to be the overarching message that we give to others. If you set up that system and you always end your meeting by asking the simple question, what's the damn? You will have a productive meeting as opposed to an update session. And remember, if you're just giving updates, email them, honestly. Send them electronically. There is no need to force people to sit through an update session, because then they're not going to want to come to your meetings because they recognize the meeting is not productive, that it's just going to be about updates. There's a time and a place for updates. I hope that helps, Hope. And I love these questions. We had some great questions today. I will see you all next week, same time, same location, for another episode of Monday with Marie. Thanks again.